as an entrepreneur, we are wired differently. I actually wonder if every single one of us have ADHD, quite truthfully. But we are wired differently and we do get bored with doing the boring
Yep.
things.
That's a thing.
And I'm pretty sure that every single one of us at some point has known what we were doing and actually gone out and broken our business because we were bored, and don't suggest it.
Do not recommend it.
No, do not recommend. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. And I think that instead of thinking I'm bored, let's break it, or I'm bored with these foundations and just refining, getting them right, think about your business and your life a little bit differently. You are doing the boring foundations in your business, and rather than breaking it to try and get your excitement or your giggles, go and get your excitement or giggles somewhere else. This is not the year that Sam's going to break her
Oh, I thought
business.
you were like, all right, lads, everyone go get Barbies. Do something different.
Can you believe we are already in the second month of 2026?
No. And you know what? I did this last year and went, right, we've got to get onto it because last year it felt like it was like the middle of January and I was already losing the year. And I feel like it happened again. Where did January go?
I know, right? I know. And the fire horse energy doesn't even come in to the middle of this month. And then I think it's going to speed up
Oh,
again.
great.
Like, holy moly. It's going to be a very quick year. I can feel it in my waters.
Yeah, it was going way too fast. And yes, if it does start speeding up, that's a bit scary.
Absolutely. Hey, I've got a question for you, something a little bit
Yeah.
fun to open the show with today. So get
Okay.
ready. I don't think you're going to be expecting
Probably
this
not.
one. What's something that you were weirdly obsessed with as a kid?
Oh. You know, I really like building stuff. And so I love
Yes,
I
I
love
do know that
Lego.
you really like
I love
building
Lego. I
stuff.
still like Lego. Oh,
So you were weirdly obsessed with that as a
yep.
kid, and
And now,
I actually buy Leon Lego for date
yep.
night.
How cool's that, right?
And we sit. I don't, well, it's not how I was expecting to be doing date nights in my 50s.
Yeah, no, also true.
But yeah, it is fun. It is fun. So I love that you're still weirdly obsessed with that. And that makes sense because you've got how much behind you?
There's a fair bit, actually. And that's not all of it. You can't see most of it. So it's like
I
hidden
think
away.
that's so
What about
funny.
you?
Oh, I don't know that I would say weirdly obsessed with, but definitely obsessed with Barbie dolls.
Yep.
I was like the typical girl that did ballet and played with Barbies. Like you couldn't get any more, you know, I can't even think of how you say it. I'll say typical than that, really, can you? And I don't have a Barbie anymore. But to be honest, I have actually, I think it was about 6 months ago, actually looked into getting a collection of them because they actually release them in
Oh.
collections. I love them. I love Barbies.
Is there any like crazy, really expensive ones? Like, you know, they have like,
Yeah.
not like, what's that?
Yeah. I don't know enough about it to
What
tell
they
you
are?
which ones they
Oh.
are. I do know that our daughter, and you probably don't even know this, was collecting them for a while because there's certain ones that have got
Oh,
numbers, and she'd collected a whole set and she sold it for thousands of dollars not that long ago, only a few years
there you
ago.
go. I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a particularly
There you go.
favorite Barbie though?
I did not. When a Barbie is out of the outfit that she comes in her box in, they all look exactly the same. So it's not actually like a Barbie that I liked because I just liked all of them and I love to have all the clothes and all the shoes.
Yeah.
And our family was, I'll say, our family was poor. I think I've said it before on this podcast. Our nickname at school for me and my sister and my brother was the poor kids, which was very embarrassing. But it meant that I did not have the Barbie pony. I did not have the Barbie camper van. I didn't have the Barbie bus or the Barbie sports car. Like, I didn't have any of the Barbie stuff. I had the most generic, like the
So
cheapest
Barbie was
Barbies that you
walking.
could get, and I still
What about
oh,
Ken? Was
I
Ken there? Did you
Barbie
have a
was
Ken?
walking. Oh god, well, no, we were too poor for Ken as well. We just had Barbie.
Ken's an expensive dude.
That means multiples. Did not have multiple. I actually did have multiples. I did have multiple Barbies, but yeah, I did love Barbie. And no, I don't have Barbie anymore.
Not yet anyway.
Uh, exactly. You wait.
I'll have to set the room
uh,
for those in the house with the shelves on it for the collection.
Totally. I feel like, our word for the year a few years ago was
Yep.
fun, and it's not our word for the year this year. Our word for 2026 is precision. But I also feel like behind the scenes, there's also a lot of fun happening.
Yeah, yeah.
I've gone back to dancing. I've decided to start playing golf, which means I definitely need lessons because I have no idea what I'm doing. And probably no golf course wants me to go and rip up their green because I have no idea
Absolute hacker. No, that's me. Hang
how to play.
on.
Eh, Yeah.
Hacking away.
I've got a painting in the family room that I'm doing on an easel. I'm doing all sorts of really fun stuff
Hmm.
this year. I've just gone, you know what? I want to have a lot of fun this year. So even though it's not our word for the year, I feel like I'm very much leaning
Yeah,
into it.
yeah. That's great. I like it. Like it. It's like as an adult, you can just choose your own hobbies and you can choose whatever you like. It can be Barbie, Lego,
Exactly.
whatever, jet ski, whatever.
Exactly. Let's talk about choosing because we're talking today about scale and specifically how real scale takes time. And the reason I've used the choosing to go into this episode is that you get to choose how you do this. And I guess I want to start with this. And I think last week we talked about not downloading the all of the lead magnets and trying to paste them together to create a business. But I think it's really important to ask yourself if all I needed was one more hack to get my business to scale to 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K months, wouldn't it have worked by now? Like, really think about that because I think so many people get in the loop of, oh, I just need this one more shiny thing. And we're going to have an anti marketers episode today because if someone does promise you the shortcut to scaling, really check out what they're skipping because systems, stability, like building solid foundations, they don't just need a trick, they need solid foundations and it takes time. It takes time. And time isn't sexy for a marketer to sell, right? So we're going to dive into this and
What you mean? There's no. I was going to say there's no magic pill. I make the marketers always tell you that you can make seven figures
I know,
overnight if you
right?
just buy my
They
thing.
do.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just do this one thing and like you'll be totally filled tomorrow with a wait list of 15,000 people.
Yeah, yeah. And we just talked
Yeah,
about the
no.
hack there before. Like if there was one more hack, wouldn't it have worked by now? And I think it's like the opposite
Mm.
of I'm going to call it doing the boring stuff. So
Yeah, it really, really is. And I know that I've got a really good friend, and we've talked about this. And he said, as an entrepreneur, we are wired differently. I actually wonder if every single one of us have ADHD, quite truthfully. But we are wired differently, and we do get bored with doing the boring
yep,
things.
that's a thing.
And I'm pretty sure that every single one of us at some point has known what we were doing and actually gone out and broken our business because we were bored and don't suggest it.
Do not recommend it.
What I do suggest, no, do not recommend. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. And I think that instead of thinking I'm bored, let's break it, or I'm bored with these foundations and just refining and getting them right, think about your business and your life a little bit differently. So you are doing the boring foundations in your business, and rather than breaking it to try and get your excitement or your giggles, go and get your excitement or giggles somewhere else. Can we see the theme of how I started this episode and what we're talking about? This is not the year that Sam's going to break her
Oh, I thought
business.
you were like, "All right, lads, everyone go get Barbies." No, do something different.
Oh dear. So I think that it's really important to talk about because every single person that's in our world, Leon, you would agree, they're really, really good at what they do, right? Like
Yeah,
our
they really are.
clients blow me away with how amazingly talented and experienced they are. And I find that everyone in our world that comes into our orbit is, but their income can still feel fragile and unpredictable. And if that's you right now, just understand that if you're doing content that doesn't convert, doing more of it isn't going to change it. Adding some shiny new type of content platform or way of putting your content together isn't going to change it, because there's certain things in the foundational areas of your business that probably need to be fixed first.
I worked for corporate for a long time, and I was laughing the other day because I saw an ad posted on LinkedIn. I don't even know why I was looking at it, but they wanted to employ someone in corporate that had entrepreneurial spirit, and I thought that is just so not going to
Oh
work.
my
Also,
goodness.
too, you can imagine entrepreneur going into corporate and then being hamstrung. It's
Oh, yeah, there's a big difference between entrepreneurial and corporate. However, in saying that, I think that there is a little bit of substance there. I think where you're going is that entrepreneurs make decisions
yep,
fast, they pivot, they change, they get feedback and implement it immediately. Where a corporate, it's very much like trying to turn a cruise ship
yep.
around. If you've ever been on a cruise, it takes like, I don't know, half an hour to turn the ship around. It feels like forever, by the time it slows down and turns around. And, as entrepreneurs, we move a lot faster. But at the same time, I think that sometimes we do need to slow it down and just really get the foundations right, because nothing of substance is built overnight. Real results take time to create, so they're sustainable. And if your business isn't sustainable, it's not there. Well, it goes without saying, right? Duh, it's not there for the long run. We don't need to explain that. And it's just interesting. The other day, I remember I was saying to you, oh, it's just occurred to me, I haven't seen, I'm not going to say real names here. I haven't seen that specific person with that big name for a while. Hang on a minute. How long has it been? Oh, 5 years. Let's do a quick chat GPT where that person went. And like once I'd thought about that person, another name came into my head, another name came into my head, another name came into my head. And they were people that seemed like they had come out of nowhere really, really quickly with really big multi seven figure businesses. And I looked up every single one of them, and they all were. But because their business wasn't built on sustainability, and because it wasn't aligned, and they're just completely gone like gung ho all in and just, made a lot of sales very quickly. Number one, they burnt themselves because there was problems with delivery, there was problems with people not getting what they paid for because they were just building it so quick. And all the people that I had sort of remembered had all gone, and they're all doing other things now. They sort of just came in and
Yeah, it was
went.
actually really interesting to look at that. So, do you think that part of this issue or the want to scale overnight is almost caused by marketers? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, it is what I would say, because I think that for anyone that hadn't been in business before, they're told by marketers that you can have this thing and it can happen quickly. So of course you believe it because that's what you've been told, right? But in actual fact, most of the time, if those results have happened, it's from someone that's maybe already been in business, or they've been in business for a number of years and they've just pivoted and it's all just fallen into place. It's not always the entire
Yeah.
story. And so what happens is people go, all right, well, let's do this. And they go for it and either get frustrated because it doesn't work, or it does work and it breaks, right? The point isn't to grow fast. The point is to grow in a way that you can actually hold, that you can actually sustain. So if you want a dopamine hit and a quick win story, you're going to hate this episode. If you want to scale to stable 30K months as your new baseline so you can scale up to seven-figure years, then you're my person. Like, where that's what we're here, because overnight is really tempting, but having that story at the back of your head and shaming yourself that it's not working is going to keep you stuck.
Yeah. So, what is it that you think that is probably like the key factors that make people want to shift so far fast?
Because we all want to make money.
Well, that's true.
Like, I don't even need to listen to the rest of that answer, because, or the question, sorry, because we all want to make money. And even the people that say they don't want to make money still want to make money because there's some sort of impact. Oh, I don't need that money, but I want to be able to help this, or I want to have the freedom for choice, or I want to, donate my time to this cause. Whatever it is. I mean, even if you want to donate your time to a cause, you still need money to be able to create your lifestyle. Or maybe it's you want the freedom to make choice. Well, that requires money so that you can make choice that you like. So I think essentially it's all like I want money faster. And I don't see a problem with that
Yeah.
either. I think that we don't talk about money openly enough, and the fact that we do want it.
Yeah.
Like, money does solve problems. Like, if I've got anyone in my family that needs to go overseas because they're ill and they need some sort of, amazing uh, treatment that's only available overseas, I want to be able to provide that to them because I love my family so much. If I get an offer to go and join my kids traveling around Australia for a year, for example, I want to be able to say yes, and I don't want that thought of I can't do that because I don't have that money to be in the way. So, yeah, I think it's
I
money.
think you're right too. I don't think for some reason in Australia that it most people feel okay talking about money, and I don't know why. Because that's why you have a business,
Mm,
so you can earn money,
mm,
so you can do cool
mm,
stuff, live whatever it is that you want to achieve, help people. Yeah, we just
yeah.
don't seem to talk about
Mm.
it that much, and I don't know why that is.
I think there's a lot of beliefs and a lot of stuff. I'll say that instead of the swear words. Um, there's a lot of stuff that's laid on us as
Yeah.
kids. Like, I remember, like, when we were kids, my dad would walk in on a Thursday night from work and he had cash in a little paper envelope. I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
remember
Yeah,
them.
my
They
first pay was
they
like
had like little lines on the
that.
front. Yeah. Mine wasn't. I never got cash. It always went into my account. So, I'm gonna take that. But he used to walk in and he'd put his money on the counter, and mum would just pick it up so quick, and it was like hidden straight in her
Yeah.
apron pocket, because she'd be cooking dinner when he got home. Straight in the apron pocket. It was never talked about, nothing was said. He didn't say anything to her about it. She didn't say anything to him about it. There was nothing said in front of us about it. Money wasn't talked about, and that's the way their parents would have been. It wasn't that they were doing
Yeah.
like anything on purpose, it's what their parents did. And I even remember with my first business, and we were really successful in our first business, and I remember being so excited one day, and me and my business partner at the time were talking to my parents about, oh, we're so excited, we've done this thing and we've created, like all this extra money through it. And we were like, it was celebration station, right? And he turned around and he just and it was, I'll never forget it because it was so bitter. And he just said, "What, do you want to be rich or something?" And I was like,
Mm.
oh, Well, yeah, but that that reaction and those words to me didn't
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so I knew never talk about money with my parents
Yeah.
again because yeah, I did want to be rich and that doesn't make me evil or it doesn't make me a bad person or you know, all of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah. As an entrepreneur as well, I don't think you can talk to your family about a lot of these things. I just don't think you can. And I've heard like quite a number of other friends in business as well say exactly the same thing that they just don't. And because of that, they just don't get it. So
Yeah, you have to be really
yeah,
careful who you speak to
yeah,
business
yeah.
about. I think I got all of those words, put them in a hat,
You shuffled
shook them
around a bit.
around, and just threw it up in the air, and took them wherever they fell. That didn't make sense, but I think everyone should
Yep.
know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, or what I'm trying
I'm
to
pretty
say.
sure I've said before a number of times that it's all these things that we come up with these in these episodes that I really think we should come back to at some stage because I think that in itself, for as far as mindset is concerned, not you jumbling words up, but not talking about money and
I was wondering what you were
and that
talking
kind of
about
thing.
then.
Well, it's pretty funny. Might be some B-roll bloopers coming out, but I think yeah, there's there's that's a definite thing to be aware of as an entrepreneur that you just can't talk to just anyone, and finding your people is important. That community, so because they get it. Yeah,
Totally, because we're in quite a few communities. And like, how much are we on a high when we get home from going out to lunch with, or, going to an event with
yeah,
people and, they're sharing their wins. And instead of getting that, oh my God, what, you want to be rich or something, or whatever the version is of that, we're like, oh my goodness, that is so awesome. And you are genuinely so happy for that person,
yeah,
but also you come home on a high going, "Oh my god, like I can do this." Like you just come home full of confidence and it's the proof that what you're doing does work and you are a good person and all the things because the people that we're surrounded with, they've all got hearts of gold, big hearts, very generous hearts, all very well off and always striving to be better than they were the day before, whatever that
yeah,
means for
yeah,
them.
absolutely. And I know we've got off track a little bit now, but I think it was important to talk about that because
Mhm.
that mindset coupled on top of everything else when if you're a business owner that's trying to get something up and running and you're trying to scale and you're under pressure and you've got no one to talk to, then that becomes a big deal because you can't talk through it with anyone. You feel like you're by yourself, and so well, I suppose that's when things you can get reactive because you're not able to unload that,
Yes.
uh, that mental weight. So, you know,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of fear there,
yeah,
isn't there?
absolutely, yeah,
Like it's mental weight and it's fear,
yeah,
let's face it. I've got to be honest, I cannot remember who said this, but it was a clip I was watching last week and it may have been Alex Hormozy. I'm not 100% sure. But it was essentially one of the reasons that most people get stuck at 10,000 a month or less is because they take every single piece, like every single dollar of that money, and they use it for in their life. That they spend it essentially. The people that grow and scale understand that a portion of that money needs to be reinvested back into the business. Like it has to be. There is no way that you can do it without doing that.
yeah, yeah. Do you think that the ones that are probably like spending all that money also then start to rely on things like quick fixes, like kind of the next shiny object to try and get their business to go because they're spending all their money, but then they need more?
Yeah, and I think those quick fixes as well are like those sticky tape solutions that we were talking about a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. It's like, I don't really want to spend $80 on that piece of software right now because there's this $5 version that's cheaper. But that $5 version requires an extra 80 hours of
Mm,
work to try and manually like create the like fill the gap rather than all right, so the $80 software, I don't need the full capability of it right now. But if I build that system now, I know that in 2 months' time, I'm going to be
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
So it's like acting like the 30K, 50K a month business owner now so that that's what it turns into. And I think that it's funny because as we're speaking, we were going into this episode with like strategy, but it's all mindset. Every single piece of it is mindset and perspective of how we think about these things. And it's like we have to show up as that future person now. And sometimes it is going to be uncomfortable spending money on some of those systems to create the stability and the foundational pieces so that you can continue to grow.
Yeah. So I actually think there's multiple costs to doing things that way. One of them, as you just mentioned, is time, which is a huge cost because every minute that you have
Mm.
that's spent doing the wrong thing is a massive, massive cost to you. The other side of it is and something we see quite often is grabbing a product that barely does the job because it's 5, 10, $15, whatever it is, rather than 80, 90, 100, $200, for example. And that product that you should have bought has the capability to scale with you as you grow, whereas the other product just doesn't.
Mhm.
And what ends up happening is you either have
Mhm.
add-ons that cost you a crap ton of money, so that's out of your pocket,
Yes.
or it costs you a crap ton of time, or it costs you both, or it costs you
Yeah.
clients because it doesn't do what it's supposed to do for you. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of cost
totally.
involved in that.
Yeah, do you know the cost, one of the biggest costs is rebuilding?
Mm,
So getting a piece of software that doesn't quite do the job that you use and duct tape it together, but not only does it not really do the job now, but as you grow, it doesn't work at all. And you need to not only pay more for a piece of software, but you need to rebuild it
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
And that is really
yeah,
expensive.
yeah,
I see this a lot with people choosing free CRMs or
yeah,
like email management.
yep.
The one that I hate, MailChimp. A lot of people go, "Oh, I'll just choose MailChimp because it's free." And well, A, it's free until it's not free,
Yep.
and it actually gets really expensive really quickly, and you still don't have the full
Yeah, it's like
capability. Oh,
in-app purchases.
yeah, say no to the chimp.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I think there's definitely yes, you can start a business with just a phone and not much else, uh, but that only gets you so far, and that may have also been
so
something that
far.
was actually true a few years ago, but now it's probably not. In that particular case there of having a
Yeah,
phone and nothing else and going for it, maybe a social media account, your trust factor is gonna be super low as well. So, that
yeah.
in that case there.
You were saying something really interesting that I want to bring up here because it almost goes against what we're saying. And I think that I do want to bring it up because there is no black and white in business.
Yeah, true.
And that as someone that's been in business for over 30 years in multiple industries, there's always an exception to every rule, right? And you and I were talking about paid marketing, and you were talking about the fact that meta ads now are like what yellow pages were back in the
Mhm.
90s. It's you need to put money into an area so that people can find you. That was Yellow Pages back in the 90s, and it's Meta Ads currently. I don't know what it's going to be in a few years, but that's what it is currently. And you were talking about the difference between organic and paid. Can you explain it? Because you're going to do it so much better than me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, there's a couple of things here. One of them particularly was the fact that I know with the first stores that you had quite a substantial outlay to get the best advertising Yellow Pages, and it was a lot. And if we talk about the time
Yep.
frame, it was quite a number of years
Yep.
ago now. I'd hate to think what that is now. It would have been absolutely massive.
So with Yellow Pages back in the day, whoever paid for the biggest ad automatically went to the top. of the listing. And of course, you wanted to be at the top of the listing without being, I don't know if you remember this, A furniture removals.
Yeah, I
Can you
remember those
remember
ones.
those ads? I don't know. So unless and even then they were still only at the top of the line
Yep,
listing, right? But when you went for the graphic ads, the bigger the graphic ad, the higher it came up in the listing. So the more you paid, obviously, the bigger ad you got, and you were at the top. If you paid for that ad, you automatically kept that position. No one could get ahead of you in that position unless they bought a bigger ad the next year. Does that make sense? So to be able to get to the top, the bill was quite high. And we made the gutsy move to go to the top because we were like a newer kid on the block, and our two biggest competitors had been around for years and years and years. One of them had been around like I was 3 years old and in that store. Like they'd been around for a long time. And then, I came onto the scene like, oh, we're going to have the best. And so we paid more to get that Yellow Pages ad to the top.
yep, yep. Think about being on the number one spot in like Google search or being on page 7.
Yeah.
No one goes past page 2
Yeah.
even, I don't think. Does anyone go to page 2?
No. Oh, occasionally
Yep,
I do,
but
but
most
it
don't.
hasn't been for a long
So,
time, I've got to
yeah.
be honest. No.
So, but you can see why that would be so important to be at the top there. So
Yeah.
that's paid advertising of a day. Now, you could have also just put a sign up on the front of your shop and left it at that. Now, it would
Yeah.
have been mighty slow, right? Like that, there
Yeah.
wouldn't be much going on at all. Because only people that drive past you that happen to be looking for a dance shop on that particular street at that particular time might actually notice it. So it's really slow. Whereas opposed to you went to where the people were that were looking for the dance
Yeah.
shop and you advertise there. Makes way more sense. The other part of it
Yeah.
is there's, um, in drag racing, we always go, oh, how fast you want to go? It's just a question of money. Well, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
You want to get from here. So we're in Sydney and you want to get to the Gold Coast. Now you could walk and it's
Hmm.
free.
That sounds
Yeah,
fun.
well, I don't know about walking it, but you could walk, right? And it's free.
No,
It's
no.
going to take you a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can pay
Yeah.
and you can Uber to the airport and get a flight up and be there pretty quickly.
Mm.
And I was thinking, which way
Hmm.
do you want to go?
Hmm.
But then you can see that organic versus paid going on.
Well, to take that even further, you could catch, do they still have Greyhound buses?
Yeah, buses will run,
You
believe it or
catch a
not.
you could catch
Yep.
a
Or
bus.
train.
I've done a bus from Adelaide to Melbourne. It is mighty slow, because they stop and, oh, they're just, like, awful. I don't think I'd ever do a bus overnight again. That's faster than walking. Then you can do the car, and that probably costs a little bit more because 'cause you're paying for all the fuel, and that will get you there a little bit faster, but that's a little bit more expensive, and then you can, you know, get on the plane, and that's more expensive again. So money is buying you speed.
Hmm. Yep.
And I think I really liked the way you explained this when we were just chatting yesterday, because it's absolutely the case. I just, and this came up in our conversation because I'd seen a post by someone the other day that was a post by someone we know, and we know the story behind the scenes. And they put into a business that essentially you can start with nothing. They put $180,000 into it. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, wow, that's actually quite a lot to put into it. And it was in 6 months. They put 180,000 into it in 6 months, but had a seven-figure business within
Yep.
12.
Yeah.
So yeah, money buys
Yeah.
speed.
Now, you're saying before as well that a lot of things are relative and not everything is what it seems in the background. And if you don't have a spare 180K in
Hmm.
cash to throw into whatever you need to do with it, then it's always a trade off between like time and
Hmm.
money. So neither way
Hmm.
is incorrect. One way may be faster or slower, but in each particular circumstance, it will be what it will be according to the assets and the what you have access to at the time. So the other part I
Mm.
was just thinking about then as well is that when people go try and go fast, without proper foundations in, which is what we see quite a lot. It's like, we just talked about not having the right CRM, and it breaks and it costs you money big time down the track. You lose clients or don't get leads or whatever the case may be. Is that you don't have the foundations in place, you won't be able to actually scale it without breaking almost everything.
Totally. There are some things that you must have in place, and the constraint needs to be removed in
Hmm.
order. So I think this is the next part of scale that goes wrong, is that everyone goes, "Oh my god, I don't have time to do everything." None of us do. And that trying to do everything is also keeping you stuck. Rather than trying to do everything, just concentrate on the first constraint and do 1 to 2 projects around clearing that constraint, systemize it, and then move to the next constraint. Because if you're trying to do everything, it won't work. I know it's not great for the ego because you want to have all the fancy things, but you're far better off just to work on 1 or 2 things at a time, because they'll compound. And it might feel like forever as you're moving through. But when you look back at the end of 12 months, if you've just been removing constraints one at a time and 1 to 2 projects at a time, but moving fast, making decisions fast, like really going deep and getting those constraints removed, looking back over the year, you'd be like, whoa, I cannot believe we did that much in a year.
Yeah.
It only feels like a long time when you're in it. I just want to quickly talk about the constraints in order. So, the first one is alignment. It's alignment with you and you and your niche, also being really clear on your niche. Like, what is it? Who are they? Who's that ideal client? Is your messaging aligned? Is your messaging on point? And what is your offer? So it's alignment with you, your niche, ideal client messaging, offer. That's constraint 1. Constraint 2 is lead generation. You can't generate leads unless you're really, really clear on your offer, your messaging, your niche, your ideal client. So lead generation is the second constraint. The third constraint is sales, because there's no point removing a sales constraint if you don't have the leads coming in. And then the fourth constraint is team, that you need team to be able to scale. And if you remove the constraints in that order, you will have a solid foundation. But if you remove the constraints out of order, it's a little bit shaky and it's a little bit broken, and you won't really have solid foundations. So as you remove the constraint, you're systemizing it as you go. And it sounds so simple because it actually is. You're just systemizing one thing at a time.
If you try and do all the things at once, you're going to have anxiety blowout for sure, guaranteed.
Hmm.
Uh, when you go to do something that's quite,
And we all do,
yeah,
right? You and I both do as well, every now
yeah.
and again, because we're human. I know you won't believe it, but we are.
So
We still have mental breakdowns and overwhelm and tears and all of the rest of things until we listen to our own episodes and go, no, it's okay, we got
yeah,
it.
because you want things done like now, yesterday, whenever it was. You want everything
Yeah,
done and finalized. But I think the truth of it is that you can't do it all in one go that quickly, and especially if you're in startup mode. If you know what you're doing, you're very well versed in the field you're in, all that kind of thing. But if you start off with one person running a business and you're trying to get moving, you can't go and wear all the hats and do all the things. Good way to have a mental breakdown if you try it, but
yeah,
it really
yeah,
won't get you there. And if it does, it's probably seconds
yeah,
away from
totally.
disaster. So what's that show? Seconds Before Disaster. And
I've never heard of it, so I can't
might not
answer.
be a show. It might just be a thing they say.
Never.
Also, there's video clips and they go seconds before disaster, and someone's all nice and calm, then they get washed over by a
Oh, I
wave.
thought you were going to say, oh, it could be something I just made up in my head.
It's probably a TikTok or something. It's all right. um, and I think
Uh,
I learned this when I was working in corporate, because you have these tasks you need to do. Like if you're like the site manager, and the group manager will come in and go, "I need this fixed." And you actually had to stand your ground and go, well, no, that's going to take us 6 weeks to do that, because they
Mhm.
would think and try and push you around and go, oh, well, that needs to be fixed right now. And reality is,
Mm.
no, unless we're going to blow the hell out of your wages and whatever else and wreck everything else on the way through, it's not
Mm.
going to happen. You need to do it piece by piece by piece, a bit every day, and then you get to where you need to go. And while you're doing that, nothing else is falling over as well. So just because you're focusing on
Totally.
your niche, for example, and trying to get that sorted out, you can't let everything else go. It has to keep ticking along.
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
a good bit
Yeah.
of planning, a good bit of realization, and working out what you can actually accomplish in the time you have without breaking yourself is something to consider.
Totally. Yeah, because stability is a weekly rhythm. It's not a heroic sprint or a let's burn everything to the ground or any other crazy metaphor that's feels horrible and hot and fast. Like it really is a weekly rhythm. And, bringing it back to how we started this episode, it can be boring because it really is just getting the foundations right. It isn't anything fancy, it's not shiny, it's not sparkly. It is just getting the foundations systemized and running well. And it might seem boring and it might seem slow, but like I said, coming out the other side, like the day that I figured out in my dancewear stores that I actually didn't need to go in was a very weird feeling because I put so much work like right from day one I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a business that didn't require me. I knew that I actually like sort of the business behind the business, not actually like showing up and doing everything. I love creating systems. I love refining and making things better. It's I guess it's part of my human design, right? That's the way that I'm designed to be. So right from the beginning, even when I was in there all day every day and I it was just me, there was no staff, 7 years later, hiring that last person, realizing I'd created every single system in that entire business from opening the store to closing the store to rosters to ordering. There was systems for every single supplier, and we had over 70 suppliers, and there was a system for every single one of product builds and how much people could spend. There were systems for everything. I never needed to go in, and it actually was a weird day to go, wow, I've actually done it, but also I'm bored now.
well, well, you've really got to ask
Yeah.
yourself, do you want to be the business owner or do you want to be another worker? And I think that's, and
Yeah.
it's also a hard mind shift to make as well. And you said that was a bit odd that day. It was when you didn't have to go in. And if you look at it
Yeah.
now and you go, if you're scaling at certain points, you're going to have to hand over stuff and not do that stuff
Yeah.
and move back into be the business
Totally.
owner and the CEO and the CFO and all those things, move back that way rather than being the one that gets in there and does the admin. So, and to me, that's an exciting thing to look forward to when you're starting a business, when you're moving it through. So I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So you don't need a miracle month, you need a build year. It's about building foundations slowly, one piece at a time. And luckily for us, it's a universal 1 year. So it's literally the perfect time to do this. Like we've got energy on our side, the energy is supporting us. So it's something that I'm so super passionate about because I know that this works because I've done it multiple times. And I know that not enough people do this because they get caught in marketing hype. And then all they do is burn out. They shame themselves because they're like, how come I can't make it work for me? Man, like just like I said, it's a build year. Just get in, just get one constraint at a time, systemize it, move on, and your business will thank you for years to come. And you'll not only have the money, but you'll have the time as well. And even though I said we all want the money will give us the time, and that is truly what we want. I think everyone wants the time, but it's the money that buys you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things you can do is realize that the money gives you the time. And looking back at and or forward even, when people tell you different things, remember that they're relative to their situation or someone else's situation, and no one is exactly the same. You're not all in the same place. So this seven figures overnight thing, maybe if you wanted to throw $500,000 at it, it might work, might not,
Mm,
but that might not be
mm,
where you're at either. So, yeah, everything's relative to
totally.
where you're at the time. So, put your unbiased hat on for a minute, and then actually ask yourselves the questions. Have a good look at it, and go, where am I at? What am I doing? Is that actually possible in that time frame? Do I need to make changes? All those things, but don't just assume and go full bore into something thinking that because that guy over there said it, that it's okay.
Totally. Just choose the right next step, stay with it long enough to compound, and you'll create something sustainable. Now, I mentioned clearing the constraints in the right order. And if you're listening and you're like, that's great, but I don't actually know which one of those constraints is mine right now, because they can hide a little. Sometimes what you think is your constraint isn't actually a constraint. I've put together a bottleneck audit, which will help you to instantly in 2 minutes, discover the number one thing that's holding you back from scaling to moving through those 5, 10, 20K months and getting the next 3 action steps to unlock your growth in the next 30 days. Like I said, it takes just 2 minutes. It reveals that number one bottleneck and it gives you your next 3 steps, not more information, because you don't actually need more information. You just need to know what is it and what do I need to do next. And you can get a copy of that, samanthariley.global/audit. And of course, we'll pop that in the show notes so that you can go and download that. But it's definitely worth spending just 2 minutes. Actually, I'm not going to say spending, investing 2 minutes to go and discover what your number one bottleneck is or your number one constraint so that you can just focus. Use this universal 1 year to focus on that constraint, fix it, build a system, move on to the next one. By the end of the year, if you've hit your goals and doubled it and you've got a systemized business, how would that feel? Like, get butterflies in my stomach. So cool. Leon, thanks for hanging out and riffing with me for another episode. It did not go anywhere in the direction that I thought that
No,
was
we
going to
didn't.
go. So thank you for being my partner in riff for another
My pleasure.
episode.
But please go and do the bottleneck audit. It's got some great questions in it. I really like what they ask. And I think you can just relax and be honest with yourself about it. And it's something that's really going to help you find that next one thing and keep you moving forwards.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. We look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Business Growth Lab.